Shalom, Shalom, Israel. Kalali Hao, Ba'ashim Mashiach Malak Yahushai. All praises to our Heavenly Father. Lord willing, everyone's going to be edified by this video we're about to get into. It's going to be on how we know we're the Israelites, which is the chief thing. The chief thing we must find out when we first hear this truth is who the Israelites are. When we open up the Bible, you want to know who the Israelites are. Is the main character of the scriptures, the children of Israel. So yeah, we're about to get into it. Lord willing, everyone can gain some type of understanding, especially for those just coming into the truth, still trying to figure things out, and also how we want to, why this is important, right? Because some people say, okay, I'm an Israelite, now what? But this is imperative. So we're about to dive into it, right? You're going, you good.
Khan. Shalom, brother Kapash, wfiEurope. Like the brother's saying, it's imperative that we know, that we kind of go through the precepts, go through history to show why we'd actually be the children of Israel. Like everyone says, oh, why is it important? Why is it important? Because, hey, that's God's chosen people. And we know that God doesn't change, and I think, again, it's just imperative that we understand who we are, because everyone's walking around saying, oh, they're Egyptian, they're I'm Nubian, I'm part of Kemet and I'm part of so-and-so, or I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, but no one knows, their God-given nationality. So, we're going to go through that and really just, hopefully someone's edified by this, most high willing, and all glory to Yahweh Shemi Al Shaman for giving us the understanding of this truth. Come
All right, I'm going to kick off with this precept, the classic Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7. Like I was saying, as we first come into this truth, we have to first get the milk of the understanding, and then we build from there. This is Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 7. It says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So once we find out that we're Israel, you may hear it, but after that, we have to get the understanding of, okay, so how do we really know that? How do we really prove that? How do we really show that? So, right, when we go through the scriptures, it's plain. When we go through many other artifacts and archaeology, right, we can see, like, this is the case. So I'm gonna go to 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 2. So, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. So once we understand the milk of the word and also the sweet things, right? One of the sweetest thing about this truth, right, the honey that comes from this truth, is finding out you're an Israelite. Right? You find out, okay, that means I'm God's chosen people. I'm above all people. I'm not just, whatever the world has ever called you. The bywords that we've been called, we're not those things. So when you get the first taste of this truth, it's good. Like it really nourishes us, and the Lord wants us to take hold of that and get Revelation chapter 2. And verse 4 says, nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. And our first love, that first thing that wakes us up, is us finding out who we are. That's actually been hidden, because the Lord referred to us as the hidden ones. We're hidden away, not knowing who we are. And then, when we don't know who we are, and our identity is taken away from us, our sense of self-respect is taken away from us, because the identity gives us self-respect. because we understand that that name that we have, Israel, it comes from the Most High. So now we know that we're named by the Most High, and under His name, called by His name, we walk according to the name that He has called us by. So that's what enlightens us when the Most High names us and shows us to be the children of Israel. Us finding that out, we have to walk accordingly, right? But,
Kai, I got even touching on that, like this is something that not everyone's gonna have the understanding of, right? And I just want to get it out in Proverbs 25 and verse 2, right? It says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter." So a lot of the time, people, everyone says I'm a child of God, but they don't know which one they are, right? Like I've heard brothers, some elders in IUIC here talk about Christianity is a religion, right, of ambiguity. No one knows who they are. Everyone says, yeah, I'm a believer, you know, of what? You're just a believer. You don't have no nationality, but we know when we go through the Bible, we actually see that everyone has a heritage, a seed that they go to, whether they're Hamites, right? Whether they're the heathen or not, they all go back to a specific seed, right? So it's the point is to search out a matter. Our people don't want to search out and find out who they are. Just want to, I'm gonna just do my thing, Yeah, you gotta search out a matter, man, right? Another one I want to go to. I want to go to Ephesians. I'm probably been calling this one quite. No, I'll go to Matthew 18 and 3 verse. First, Babakshah, right? It says, and verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven, right? Verse 4, whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom. So a lot of our people, when we try and tell them, hey, you're an Israelite, right? Or even kind of try and show this information that we'd actually be the Israelites. Nah, that's not the true doctrine. That's not what the Bible teaches. Hey, you tell me what it teaches then. But when we go to these churches, hey, they ain't following these commandments, right? They're not doing that. They're not doing what they should be doing, right? They're not understanding that they'd actually be the Israelites of the scriptures, man. So that's something that's important, man. And I have one more as well. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 3 and verse 3, it says, how that by revelation he made known unto me the mystery, as I wrote afore in a few words, right? So by revelation, by revealing, right? This is a revealing that we've come to the understanding of, that we would be the Israelites, man. And many other brothers have that understanding, and sisters too, right? And it reads, whereby when ye read, ye may understand my knowledge in the mystery of Christ. So by reading the prophecy, like it says in Revelation 1 and 3, blessed is he that readeth, right? And our people don't want to read, man, So that's where how we're receiving through the scriptures, right? Through history, right? That's how we're receiving this revelation of us being the children of Israel.
right. So to start off, right, I'm gonna go to 2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 23. It says, and what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel. So the Most High is showing we're a holy people, different from everybody else. Right? David acknowledged that, and this is in the law as well, that Moses quoted. Right, let me go to that in Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 7. Right, because Israel is different to everybody else. And once we understand that, we can work out who the children of Israel are. It says, for what nation, at Deuteronomy 4 verse 7, it says, for what nation is there so great, who have God so nigh unto them? So what nation is so great like our nation, right? Like the children of Israel. What nation is that? So there's a nation on the earth that is greater than all other nations. Who is that? It's the children of Israel. Who is that today? Right? What nation, right, on the earth is dominating, right? The TV, right? The media, the sports, the entertainment industries, that has the flavor, that has the sauce that the Israelites do, right? So-called black people, Hispanics, Native Americans, right? And those that are scattered. in Africa and other regions, who we can go and trace their lineage back. It'll go back to them being the children of Israel, or being partaking of the same afflictions that come from the disobedience of keeping the law. It says, "For what nation is there so great, who have God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for?" So, like I was saying, knowing that we're the children of Israel, we have to understand that the Lord, he's close to us, he hears us, he's watching us. That's why we've gone through so many things. So I'm gonna go back to 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 23. It says, "And what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel, whom God went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land before thy people, which thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods." So the Lord does terrible things amongst us. So there's no nation that can compare to the children of Israel. And you see that our people have gone through, we go through things that no one else has to really witness. All of the broad daylight shootings by the police, all of the things that happened during slavery, being on the bottom, coming out of the hundreds of years of slavery that we've had, and still being the same people that everybody wants to be like, everybody wants to follow, setting all the trends. There's no one that can do that, right? The scientists and psychologists are confounded at how we're not even more destroyed than we are, because we're the gold of the earth, right? So when we go through that fire, we're still there, right? I'm gonna go to the book of Job, chapter 23, because the Lord likens us unto gold. He calls us a peculiar treasure. It's Job chapter 23, verse 10. It says, "But he knoweth the way that I take. When he have tried me, I shall come forth as gold." So yeah, we've been tried, right? Israel has been tried. We've gone through the furnace of afflictions, the things that have happened to us over not just the hundreds of years, but all the way back into Egypt. But we're still here. We've come forth as gold. Nations have been wiped out, cities have been wiped out, but the Israelites are still here in a great number, as a sand of the sea. That's the love that the Most High has for us, right? So we're different from everybody else. We're gold, and all the other nations are other other earthen vessels, right? Dirt. But the Lord sees us as his peculiar treasure. I'm gonna get one last one in Exodus chapter 19 and verse 5. So that's how we know who the children of Israel are, because the Lord called them gold. He calls them greater than everybody else. Right? This is Exodus chapter 19, verse 5. It says, "Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine." So we're the Lord's peculiar treasure. We're his gold, his diamonds, his silver, all of the precious metals. We are that to the Lord. So that's how the Most High sees us, meaning compared to everything else, we're more precious in his sight, we're more valuable in his sight. We have more value, right? Wherever we're working, we have more value. Wherever the Israelites are, they have more value. When the Israelite wears something, it has more value. When the Israelite does something, it has more value. That's how agendas are put forth. That's how, being a gangster is popularized. That's how being a hoe or a bad bee is popularized. That's how being on the street, on the strip, is popularized. When our people do it, everybody wants to do it, right? Now the white boy wants to be a gangster the same way, our people do. They want to dress the same way we're dressing. So that's how the Most High deals with us. All right, you good.
Can't even touching on that point, right, of us being that chosen generation, because I think people don't, Israelites that are yet to understand it, Israelites don't really understand, but I'm sure through the spirit, and that it's not something that you can be carnal about, but in the spirit, you know what I'm saying, that we're a chosen generation, like it says in First Peter 2:9, right, which I'm going to pull. It says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, right, a peculiar people, that ye should be Salakia, that ye should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, right? So obviously we know that the word holy means to be set apart, to be different. We're just we have a different source. We're the salt of the earth in comparison to all these other nations, like the brother was saying. When it comes to all these other nations of people, why is it when it comes to trends, they're following what we're doing? They need us to be the ones to say, okay, cool, yeah, that's cool. And then they start doing it, right? You know what I'm saying? Just with from clothes, right? To how, to how some sisters look. They want to get the lip injections. They want to go to Turkey and they want to get the little, see them doctors and that and get everything changed because they want to look like our women, right? They want to look like us, right? And further, it says a peculiar people, right? We just have a different source about us, man. And that's in the spirit. We always have had that, right? A different source, right? I'm going to jump to as well. I'll jump to another precept, right? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 and verse 20. It says, but the Lord have taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day, right? So obviously the Lord we're the ones that have been afflicted. We're the ones that have been we're still in Egypt, man. We're still in bondage, we're still in slavery, right? And it's us, you know what I'm saying? It's us that are the inheritance of the Lord, right? The people that you see in Israel, right? The so-called Israelis, right? That's not the people, man. What affliction have they been put through, right? Because we can go into the history and we can see that even when it comes to this, if you want to play a pressure Olympics, hey, we're far above that, man. Far above what they've experienced, man. You know, and it says we've been brought forth out of the iron furnace, man. Because we're like gold tried in the furnace, right? And that's what we have that spirit. Let me go to as well Exodus 1 as well, because we have that spirit of endurance, man, of perseverance despite the oppression, despite our kingdoms being brought down to nothing, we've still been able to get to the place where we are, and that's all thanks to how by Shimi Al Shai, right? And it reads, this is Exodus 1 and verse 12. I'm gonna start from it. Says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. So that's the Egyptians, these other nations, they're grieved, right? When despite them breaking our people spiritually and physically, right? We're still growing. We're still enjoying. You can see, see the videos of Jake and Eve, like in these African countries, smiling. I ain't got nothing, but they're still enduring, man. And I'm saying that's the spirit that the Lord has put upon us, right? Can't. And I even jump to one more precept as well, right? Why people say, oh, well, why is it important that we know we're the Israelites, or why does it matter, right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 7. It says, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee, right? Because we got to go back, we got to look back on our history. A lot of people say, okay, it doesn't matter, black, white, orange, green, and start throwing in all these random colors, when really and truly, hey, it does matter. Your history does matter. They want us to remember, stuff like the Holocaust, right? And all these so-called things that have happened, right? And then to forget our history and to forget what's happened to us. Because why they want us to forget it? Because it's gonna show us the truth, right? It's gonna show us that we will be the Israelites, right? Verse 8, and it says, when the Most High divided the nations their inheritance. So like when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel, right? So we've always been the base for that, right? Not these other nations, man. The Most High divided the people according to the number of the children of Israel, right? So that's why it's important. That's why it's important to know your history. That's why it's important to know the truth, because the truth, like it says in John 8, will set you free, right? I can't. You got it.
So to add to that point of these heathen, they glorify our people from a physical level. Like I remember, I never forget some Edomite come up to us at camp, see us in like t-shirts. It was summertime, you know, brothers, we stay fit and healthy. He said, "Yeah, you guys look like some real specimen." Right. So they glorified the body of the Israelites, right, male and female, um, because like it said, how there's no nation that's great like Israel, that's spiritually, physically, miraculously for the miracles that the Lord does for His people, and also the punishments that happen as well, right? We know that certain punishments that have happened to us, they haven't happened to everybody. Ours is, we're well known for it. So I'm gonna go to the book of Judith, right, chapter 10, verse 19. It says, and this is their heathen. This is their perspective on how they view us, how they deem the children of Israel. And this is something that's always going to be in their spirit, and something that's always going to be something that we experience, right? We're always going to experience the heathen looking at us a particular way, and admiring us, right? This is Judith chapter 10, verse 19. It says, "And they wondered at her beauty." Right, so this is Judith. They're wondering at her beauty, right? A lot of these, a lot of the other nations, they wonder at the beauty of the children of Israel. You know, they and over time they've tried to demonize it. They used to, like the features that we had. Then they tried to demonize it. They tried to demonize like having big lips and having afro hair, and they tried to demonize the noses that we've got and the skin color that we've got. But really deep down, that comes from envy. They would love to have all of those things. And then they want to have the skin color they've got. No, because they're trying very hard to change it. Right? They're trying very hard to go on the sunbeds and get a tan. Every time the sun comes out, it just goes a little bit above 20 degrees. Esau's top just comes off. He's walking around in his beer belly trying to catch the tan. He's in his shorts, just sitting around. He'll sit around anywhere. Sit around in the grass, laying down. You got Edomite women coming out in bikinis. They got trying to get their tan on, trying to, but all they do is really they just get red. So they don't really, they don't really deep down hate our skin color. They would love to have the features that we have. Right. So this is Judith chapter 10, verse 19. It says, "And they wondered at her beauty." That's like what the brother was saying. They get lip injections. They now the big thing, is having, like a big lower body. Right. They're trying to have the lower body to replicate Israel. I remember, not to sound old, but when I was growing up, having being very slim was valued. That was like that was like the beauty standards, being slim. Now, it's more about having that like an Israelite type of body shape, right? When it comes to the females. So it says, "And they wondered at her beauty." So now, like, social media has increased, and the other nations have gained more of an understanding of what our people look like across the world. Now people are forced to like wonder at the beauty of the daughters of Zion. It says, "And they wondered at her beauty and admired the children of Israel because of her." So these other nations, they admire us because of our physical attributes, right? The Lord said there's no nation that's great like us. because there's no nation when it comes to our people that have the physical beauty that we have. It says, and everyone said to his neighbor, who would despise this people that have among them such women? So we have to look after our women because these nations are right just freeing them up, looking at them, trying to you know do what they did to Judith basically. So we have to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove as we maneuver through these nations, especially in workplaces. It says, who would despise this people that have among them such women? Surely is not good that one man of them be left. So, when the heathen look at the woman that we've got, what are you gonna do during Jacob's trouble, man? We have to make sure we're in the spirit. We have to make sure we're fighting and we're cleaning up our spirit, because during the tribulation, they're gonna be in our houses, and you know, I'm gonna get second Ezra. I'm gonna get second Ezra, chapter 16, right, verse 33. It says, the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. I'm going to go up to verse 31. It says, even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. And why? Because the nations are going to be trying to, right, they're going to be trying to take our women, right? So what they're going to want to do because of that, because our women are so great, they're going to want to take the men out of this thing. That's why they're trying to push forth homosexuality and being effeminate, and that's why the narrative that black men are not good, or they're bad and they're this and these words and niggas are so and so, that narrative is being pushed forth because they don't want us to be of our women and protect them. So we have to make sure that we're ruling our household well. It says, so Judith 10 verse 19, it says, and they wondered at her beauty and admired the children of Israel because of her. And everyone said to his neighbor, who would despise this people that have among them such women? Surely it's not good that one man of them be left, who being let go might deceive the whole earth. So they know if they let us go, that the children of Israel, we're going to be reigning on top of them, right? But they're trying to manipulate people into thinking that we're evil. And we had some people that some Edomite account saying, oh yeah, look, don't listen to them. Those are the evil guys. We're not the evil guys. We're not trying to deceive anybody, but that's the insecurity that they have within them because they know we're greater than them. And that's what happens. When people that are envious know you're greater than you, they do that. They try to give you a bad name, right? Well,
Can't. And even touching on that point, right? Just gonna get straight into it, man. The book of Exodus. I'll start from verse 1 and verse Exodus 1 and verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, right? And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them suffer was with rigor, right? So this is the same spirit you see when you look at modern day slavery, man. That's how we're made to suffer. We can put it up as well. We can put up the images showing our people in hard bondage, right? And in verse 15 it says, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shipra, and the name was Selachia, and the name of the other was Selachia, and the name of the other Pua. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew woman, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. And that goes back to the importance of understanding, right? Like the brother was talking about, where if we know we're Israelites, we see the same thing that was implemented with our people, right? With this whole abortion thing, right? Telling our women, hey, just do what you want with the baby. right? They've been doing this to us for thousands of years. They told us, trying to kill off the men, because that's the seed. That's where the seed comes from, right? So it's important for us to understand that when we're reading this book, like it says in Ecclesiastes 1:9, right? The thing that is the thing which will be, because it's just a repetition of what's happened, right? We've seen, the Pharaoh of that time was telling them, hey, if it's a Hebrew boy, if it's an Israelite man, I kill that. That's the same thing, with today. The Eve be going, the so-called black woman, Hispanic woman, Native American woman, they be going, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. And that could be one of the people you could be seeing the elect, man, with that child. That could be one of the child that's gonna seal the elect. But you're gonna get rid of that because you're caught up in the philosophies of this world, because you don't understand that you're Israelite and you don't want to understand that. Because some people, they hate the truth, man. They hate the understanding that, okay, I have to actually make the change, right? So this spirit of trying to get, kill our people off, and that's been from the beginning, right? And even let me touch on that as well in Proverbs, because it's important, man. People just hate knowledge, man. It's very, they just want to be simple, man. The book of let me get that up, man. The book of the Psalms, I believe it is, right? Nah, it's like a book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 22, right? Classic, right? It says, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity, right? Because our people love things, they love it to be simple, right? I told one of my, cousins, right? I told him, hey, you might be an Israelite, man. You could be an Israelite. I'm telling him this, you know what I'm saying? He's telling me, because I'm confounding him when it comes to this Christianity thing. He's like, oh, no, that's too hard. What do you mean that's too hard, man? That's the simplicity of our people, man. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? Because our people love that soothsaying. Go to church on a Sunday, Saturday night though, you're doing a madness in Ibiza. Because everyone's going, they're going Napa and all them places and that, right? You seen on TikTok, they're going and they're doing a madness, right? They love simplicity, right? But then Sunday though, I would kind of praise the Lord in that, right? Then it reads, and the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Because fools do hate knowledge, because that means what? You have to change. They like to be stuck in their ways. That's what our people love. You know what I'm saying? Right? So it's just the same spirit, is on the earth today, man. And then let me touch on it, right? Because people say, oh, is it important? We gotta seek out, our fathers, man. You gotta seek out your father's lineage. Right? Get that in Job 8:8. Right? Because everyone says, I'm like I said, I'm a child of God. Which one? No one knows which one they are. Everyone's just a child of God now. Right? It's the book of Job, chapter 8 and verse 8. For I inquire thee, I pray thee of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. That means I look at your history, man, like we read in Deuteronomy 32 and verse 7 and 8. Go back and look at your history, fam. And then you can get to understand, oh, my people go back to so and so. That's why we were taken to this place on ships. Like we're gonna go through. But Khan, you got it.
Right. So even just to expand on that, and our people being greater than everyone else, and our acts, like, which you can see that we're more like on a physical level, our men and our women are they're more beautiful than everybody else, more handsome than everybody else. And like when you see 100-meter start line, you see you know who you see there, right? Gonna see people from different countries as well. Might see a few Americans, might see a few Caribbeans, but you might see a few people from Britain on that 100-meter final. But they all have one thing in common, that they're all so-called Negroes, all so-called black people or Caribbeans, but they go back to the children of Israel. And that's a trait, right? That is a very important thing to see, that the Lord has created a people physically more attractive than everybody else, and physically more dominant than everybody else. Like, speed is important, Right? Speed can get you out of many situations, especially when it comes to war. Right? Because it's not just about running away; it's also about chasing people down. Right? So speed is very important that the Lord has gifted the children of Israel with. And we're going to see that in 2 Samuel chapter 2, right, verse 18. Right? Because, when people are fast, you just think, what good would that do? Or when people are good at sports, I think, you never amount to nothing. That's because we're in captivity. And because we're in captivity and we're under the same type of mindset of the Greeks and the Romans, because, Babylon, we see this is the Greeks and the Romans really over again, that they use the children of Israel because we're not in our best estate. We're not soldiers anymore. We're not warriors anymore. So they take the soldiers, they take the warriors that would have physical dominance, and they turn them into showmen and entertainers and athletes. We weren't doing that. That's not profitable for our kingdom, because all that does is make these Edomites rich. Because when you see any athlete you see, there's always an Edomite, there's always a heathen above them that's actually making the real money that they're making in all the sports. Football, there's no Israelite owning these big football teams, right? It's the Arabs, the Edomites that are the ones with the billions and billions. But they're using people that are physically dominant, people that are physically dominant to make all of the money. Like you see, so I'm gonna get 2 Samuel 2 verse 18. It says, and there were 3 sons of Zariah there, Joab and Abishai. So these mighty men that David had around him, Joab and Abishai. It's an Asahel, and Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe. Asahel was light of foot, meaning he was quick, right? Meaning the way he was running, like his feet were just rapid, right? He said he was so fast, it was like a wild roe, right? So, if I can maybe, share my screen, then Lord willing. So wild road speed, because the road there have been recorded running up to 37 miles per hour, right? So Asahel, he was running right up to 37 miles per hour, right? That's even faster. You think Usain Bolt is fast, right? Or Michael Johnson, and many other Israelites we can name that are mighty as athletes, and something that we dominate. You see that our people, right, are light as foot as a wild roe, right? What's Usain Bolt's top speed? Right? How many miles per hour? All right, 27. All right, 27. So our men, they were even faster than Usain Bolt back then. They had better diets, right? They were taller, stronger, fitter, right? They weren't eating Babylonian food. I remember one time Usain Bolt, right? He said like when he won his 100 meters, he was eating chicken nuggets from McDonald's. They were asking, what are you eating that made you so fast? He said, yeah, I don't trust the food. I didn't trust the food around here, so I just ate chicken nuggets. Right? And right, our forefathers were not eating right McDonald's chicken nuggets and all of that folly, right? So the Lord I'm gonna read verse 19 as well. It says, and Asahel pursued after Abner. Like I said, it's not people say black people they're fast because they had to run away from the slave masters. That's what I used to grow up hearing that. Because you used to run away from the slave master, that's why black people are fast. No, we're fast because the Lord has created the children of Israel to be greater than all people. And one of those reasons, one of those functions of being fast is pertaining to war, right? So we're not meant to be burying our talents in the ground, right? We give them unto the Lord. One of them, this is how it was done back then. It says, and Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. Right. So that's the effectiveness and productivity of why the Lord has given us these physical attributes and how they pertain to the children of Israel. Right. No one's faster than children of Israel. Right. Male, female. You see that in the athletics, man. People want to go to the Olympics to watch our people run. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Right. Go on.
God. And just to just add to that, right? This is a classic. I'm sure every Israelite knows this verse, right? It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6, right? It says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, right? So who on the earth is that special people, man? Because I'm sure, right, it's not the so-called Edomite man or the European man, because a brother just sent the video. I don't know if you see it, right? Brother just sent a video in the chat talking about Europe's lethal heat wave could break temperature records, right? And then obviously, kind of talking about, I think one of them even died from these high temperatures, fam, right? And then they want to say, but we would I can seen a video, on the WFI camps, right, in America, the Edomite saying, I can trace my lineage back to Levi. You can't even last. You can't even last in that damn place, man. You know, but he's saying you can trace his lineage back to Levi. We can see right now, and most I when I can put it up showing the skin cancer rates in that area, man. Because hey, they're not a special people on the earth, man. There ain't nothing special about damn coals dangling from your head, man. Ain't nothing special about that, right? So it says the Most High, Salakia, the Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth, right? So whoever the Israelites are, they're above all people, right? Everyone's kind of always kind of drifting towards them for some reason, copying what they're doing, right? Like the brother was going into, I believe, setting the trends. It's always our people, the so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, and the Native Americans, Seminole Indians that are setting these trends. Everyone's, even in fashion, man, with the cowboy thing, they kind of got the fringes dangling down off of the coats and that. Why is that? They copied what the Native Indians were doing, right? So you can see from early in history even till now, the same thing is being copied, and even further, right? Just to even explain why it's important to understand you're an Israelite. In verse 8, it says, because the Lord loved you, and because I start from verse 7, sorry. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people, but because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, have the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondage from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, right? So that's even furthermore emphasizing that the Most High is not dealing with anyone else but the Israelites, man. So this whole malarkey of thinking, okay, children of God, child of God, you gotta understand, if you're not an Israelite, you're finished. That's just the facts. I think people haven't understood that yet, and that's where it comes to these soothsaying pastors, right? That are straying the Lord's sheep, that are straying the Israelites, man. Because, like it says, we're a special people above all people on the earth. Who's above all people? You're gonna tell me the so-called European man is above all people, right? When he hasn't even been around in history for that long. They haven't been around, man. Every major empire pretty much has stemmed out of either Asia or Africa, right? Where was the so-called European man at? He weren't around, kind of killed off Japheth, and then come and now he's saying, "Oh, we're this people and we're that people, we're the Greeks." Madness. It's just complete madness, right? And even let me touch on that, Salakia. Salakia, man. It's a book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 1. This is just the karate choppers, man. It says, hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, right? Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can two walk together except they be agreed? So that's even showing that the Most High is only dealing with the Israelites, right? And there's many other scriptures we can go to show that. But chiefly, whoever the Israelites are, that's who they are. That's who the Lord's dealing with, Salakia. The Lord's not dealing with any and everyone. With your Edomite pastor, your European pastor saying, oh, God so loved the world. But hey, where was this love that they're talking about during the time of slavery, right? Even during now, because it's so-called European man, and he's got that Esau spirit that kind of just hops out, and now he's treating you with rigor. Oh, because I'm a white man. Hey, that's off, man. That's off. And even in Malachi, let's get there in Malachi, man. You know, everyone's saying, okay, Christ is dealing with everyone. Christ is dealing with everyone. The Lord doesn't change, right? This is the book of Malachi. Salakia, man. It's the book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 6, and it reads, for I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed, right? So the Lord doesn't change. Everyone thinking, oh, he changed and he started picking everyone else. The Lord picked the Israelite, man and woman and child, right? And that's who he was dealing with from the beginning until the end, right? The Lord didn't change, you know? Khan, you got it.
Right. So again, likewise, there's so many things that, man, we see through the scriptures that the children of Israel would go through, have gone through, that are specific unto them, and it's a token and a sign, right? Like the curses tell you, it's a sign. And one of the main things that the brother mentioned is slavery. Like no one, other people may say they you know, they was once slaves for whatever, but they're not known for it. It's only so-called black people that's known for slavery. Right. I'm gonna go to Acts chapter 7, verse 6. It says, and God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land. So that's one aspect of it, where a whole nation of people being in a strange land, right? A land that doesn't belong unto them, that they've never known before. On one level, that's even Northern Kingdom, just being there in America for a particular amount of time. And on another level, when we read on, it says, and that they should bring them into bondage. So we were also brought into bondage, right, into slavery in that strange land. Now you have to really think who is harder to think of someone else other than so-called black people that this can align with, other than actually just plainly, this is what it sounds like. And many people have read their accounts of Israel being in slavery in Egypt, and already had an inkling that, oh, this sounds just like what black people have been through. Like many people have thought that, but because of the lies and the manipulation and the witchcraft, when we have that thought, it's like Satan rebukes that thought and just says, "Oh well, it doesn't matter anyway because God loves everybody anyway, and everybody is going to be saved." But these things are not biblical. These things are not of the Lord, right? So when we are getting that wisdom, it's like we have these thorns, where we've had these thorns that have choked the word, when like wisdom is like coming out, when we're meditating on the precepts, even when we're not fully understanding or in the truth, the thorns that we have within us take us away from being able to understand, right? And that was a curse even from Adam, right? Or even on a spiritual level, that, you know, when we have tried to think about, us, even the length, as it reads on, it says, and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. So when we think about that 400 years and that length of time that we was in slavery for, being in a strange land for 400 years, that's only something our people can really relate to and our people really feel. And that's what the Bible is about at the end of the day. Like actually feeling, having a connection, having an emotion, having a spiritual invocation. When you actually go into these scriptures, you're meant to feel it. No one else really feels it other than the children of Israel. That's why even in the church, you see our people, when it comes to, the singing, the gospel and the choirs and stuff like that, you know, the so-called black people's choirs and stuff is the loudest, right? Their singing is the most exciting. They're the most, down when it comes to like preaching and things like that, right? They're all sweating. They have the little rag that's sweating and tapping their forehead because they're so into this thing, and that's without understanding. So because at the end of the day, we have a connection to this Bible that no one else has. Do you think anyone else, as much as Christianity is off, of course, we go into the doctrine, we can do that at any time, any day, but the children of Israel have a connection to this Bible, right? And that's what's pulling us close unto the Lord. But Satan is really trying to take us away from that. So when we go into these scriptures and we see, right, the hundreds of years that the children of Israel were in slavery, and we can't just rebuke that thought and say, why does that matter? Yeah, I know that sounds just like the children of Israel, but why does that matter? Because all the scriptures matter. The word of God, it always matters, man. Right? Go on.
Can, man. It definitely matters, man. And even when you talked about the thing of the spirit, right, in the churches, man, you can see when it's our people, right? Our people, we've kind of been, like I said earlier about the doctrines, man. We've kind of understood the perspective of the Bible from what we've been taught and not from the truth, man. Right? This is the book of Psalms, chapter 50 and verse 16. It says, "But unto the wicked God saith, right? What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou should takest my slack here, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth," right? Because what are these so-called Europeans doing with the Bible, man? Because they gave us the slave Bible, right? Where they took bits and pieces out of it. You got people like Nat Turner who had the understanding, kind of started saying, that kind of this and saw that, and that kind of stirred up his spirit, man. And he led these revolts. And then when when they finally kind of caught him, hey, look what they done to him, man. They done a madness to him. I mean, I believe they kind of used his skin for certain materials. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, right? And that's just the spirit that the so-called European man or the Edomite man has, right? And I mean, even what you said about the understanding, right? We are a rebellious people, man. And we've learned the ways of the heathen, right? I'm gonna read that in the book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse number 35. Actually, I start at verse 34. It says, "They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them," right? Because we were supposed to destroy all these other nations, man. Right? But obviously we didn't, right? Verse 35, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. And we did learn their works because we started following things like Christianity. We started following things like Islam, right? All these other things, but what the scriptures were saying, right? Even verse 36, and it says, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them, right? Because we were like being coming out of Christianity, and we were thinking that that gay man, that Caesar Borgia, or whatever you call him, right? That was Jesus. And then brothers kind of started waking up, and you kind of hear Revelation 1, Daniel 7, Acts 13, right? Start seeing, that doesn't make sense. Who is this that this is talking about? Who is the Bible actually talking about, man? Right? And then even just to jump to that, right? Like people, like you said, the Bible only bears witness with the Israelites, right? Because when we go through, like in Deuteronomy 4 verse 27, I'm going to read it. It says, and the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whether the Lord shall lead you, and there ye shall serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. Because we literally have been scattered among the heathen, man. You could go to every place around the world and you will find one so-called black man, right, in that area. Why? Because the Bible says it. The Bible explains what they're doing in these lands, man. Right? Kind of Jake just think, oh yeah, I was just born here. No, you wasn't. You know what I'm saying? You've been scattered, man, because of our disobedience, right? Because we've been chastised by Yahweh Shemi Shai, right? That's why we're in these lands. That's why we're at the bottom of the earth, right? And the Bible explains that for us, man, right? But kind of, and we go through some of the curses, man. We'll go through some of the curses, man, because some people say, okay, hey, the Israel, the so-called Jewish man, they say the so-called Jewish man, this is what happened to him. Find me an account. I need someone to find me an account, right? I'll start at this, right? Deuteronomy 28 verse 33, right? It says, the fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always. When remember it says always, so always. When has it doesn't even make any sense. So the so-called Amalekite, right? Because that's what he truly is, an Edomite. He's gonna pick up the scripture or the Torah, and he's gonna say, okay, this is talking about me. It says oppressed and crushed always. But when we look, and they're gonna say, this is anti-Semitic, but when we look, this is just the facts, right? They own what? The banking system. They own the media. They own a number of things, but it says they're going to be crushed and oppressed always. So that's a contradiction. And last I checked, the Bible is purified 7 times. So who is this talking about? Is this talking about the so-called Edomite man, right? That says he's a Israelite, that says he's a Ashkenazi Jew. But last I checked, Ashkenaz comes from Japheth, and Jew that comes from Shem. So which is it? Right? It's not even making any sense, right? But Khan, hey, you got it. You got it.
Right. So, like we were saying, we have historically, like the scriptures they've given our people a lot of inspiration. So, for example, we see Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He's a great example where, right, the Bible gave him inspiration to try and do something for his people. As like, when white people, they don't really have that, right? When it comes to like Malcolm X, he used to go through the scriptures and it'll say plainly, like when you go and you look at Moses, and Malcolm X has many great sermons. When you say, when you look at Moses, he had to find a people that was worshiping other gods and bring them out of a land that wasn't theirs, because they was worshiping gods that wasn't theirs, and they were disobedient unto him. So like a lot of our people have known and have had inklings of this truth, and that's inspired them to want to free their people. So you see that, like with the point you was making about Nat Turner. So I'm gonna get that real quick. All right. It says, with Nat Turner, is human trophy collecting. It says after his execution, Turner's body was dissected and flayed, with his skin being used to make souvenir purses. Right? Meaning they cut his body open, they took his skin off, and they used it as leather, to make purses. And this is like we have many examples of, like the brother was saying, when our people go into the scriptures, it inspires them to do for their people. We also have, right, Sam Sharp. So Sam Sharp, he would be a so-called Jamaican, and he is responsible for slavery really stopping in Jamaica. Right. So it says, so he was actually a Baptist. Right. That's why it's called the Baptist War. Right. So he was a deacon in a Baptist church, but he became the leader of a rebellion. It says, religious meetings were a permissible form of organized activity by slaves, and Sharp was able to use the meetings to inspire his congregation and communicate his concerns. So that's different from modern day Christianity. Christianity, let me read on. It says he spoke out against the injustice of slavery, and it is said that he amazed people with the power and passion of his speech. So people are using the Bible to speak out against slavery. People are they're not doing that in Christianity. They're not speaking against slavery, they're not speaking against Babylon and the nature of the wickedness that they do. Right? But that's actually what it's meant to do in its original form before they realize, the brothers like Nat Turner, Sam Sharp, they were using it and then understanding how to relate that onto the afflictions that the children of Israel were going through. And they had to amp up the manipulation, they had to amp up the witchcraft. Right? So that's why, we go through the things we go through, like the Lord has put a spirit within this book. I'm gonna go to John chapter 6, verse 63. It says, it is the spirit that quickeneth, right? The spirit quickeneth, the spirit makes alive, right? And the spirit, right, is understanding these laws, understanding their heritage. That's what gives us understanding. The spirit. It says, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. That's why we get inspiration from the scriptures that nobody else does. Right? Only our people can relate to that. It gives us life. It gives us a spirit of understanding. It gives us a spirit of, like you read, passion and wanting to stand up for your people. But over time, they're really trying to take this out of the Bible. They're really trying to take the nature of how our people can connect to it. But we have to come back to that and not neglect that. Don't let so-called white people dictate how we should understand the scriptures, how we should feel about slavery. No, because this is why these men were killed, right? Sam Sharp, he was hung as well, right? Nat Turner died. Why? Because he wanted to go against the system, understanding that what he's going through is wrong. standing up for his people, his wives, his and not his, the wives of our nation and the children of our nation, standing up for them, being willing to die for them. That's what we must be willing to do. So this is, although there's a sweetness in becoming Israel, this is also the bitterness that comes with it too.
Can't. And even to touch on that, man, because like you said with the scriptures, we can't allow the so-called Edomite man, the European man, to dictate, right, the understanding of the scriptures, because they're not going to understand it, right? They're not going to they ain't going to be able to understand that, right? But let me just read Romans 15:4, right? Or whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope, right? Hope for what? Hope to having salvation, right? And this Bible really and truly, right, is for us to actually understand who we are according to these scriptures, because obviously this is written hundreds, thousands of years, right? But now we, the elders of, they figured it out. Okay, this is talking about us, because when we go to these Deuteronomy 28 curses, we see, all right, that's talking about who? None other than the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, right? And I think that's just and I'll go to it as well, like, because we've allowed Esau, right, the Edomites, to really just deceive us, man. Just deceive us, right? Let me read the book of Colossians, right? Book of Colossians, man. People really, like I said, they hate knowledge, man, right? This is the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. Because really and truly, if they were following and teaching after what Christ was saying, they'd be keeping the Sabbath day, they'd be keeping the high holy days, right? Having faith and works. That's what they'd be doing. But the Christian church, right? All these other doctrines that we've been deceived by Islam, they ain't taught us nothing. Because even being a Christian, that's not a nationality, right? Being a Muslim, it's not a nationality, right? Yeah, you can say you're a child of God, but like I said at the beginning, which one, right? Let's even get that in the book of book of Second Thessalonians, right, 2 and verse. I'll start at verse 1. It says, "Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua Mashiach, and by our gathering unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that day of Christ is at hand," because that day is at hand, right? It says, verse 3, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there be a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, Salakia, right?" And we understand now who this is talking about. We know that this is talking about the so-called European man, right? Because he's deceived us into believing a lie, right? Believing that we all just got to come together and hold hands around a little table, talking about, okay, the Elamites and the Moabites, the Ammonites, right? And the Egyptians, the Hamites, all together, right? When these are the same people that have had a play in our, in us being destroyed, right? And it reads, "Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God," right? And to a lot of simple Jake, right? That's what they've allowed that. We allowed that at one point, because we were following the ideologies of them, right? But now we've actually woken up to understanding that, hey, we're the Israelites, and that we're not going to be deceived no more through vain philosophy, right? And deceit, right? But Kanye, you got it.
Right. This is more proof, man. Just just in the scriptures. Right. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22 says, "But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes." Right. So right? Our people are snared in holes. Even as soon as we're born, right? You got whole heap of attacks trying to tell you who you are and who you should be. Right? We don't like, especially with fatherless homes. We have 5 million attacks from all different. We're compassed about with Satan as soon as we come out of the womb. Telling us, right? You gotta make money to be somebody, and make it by any means possible. Get rich or die trying. I heard that you had to get rich or die trying when I was like 10. Like, I didn't have to know that. I didn't have to think about that. But that gets imprinted in people's minds that that's the way, right? Thinking you gotta have, the jewels, and you think you gotta have all of these flashy things to take to on all of these carnal things, like you read. The flesh profiteth nothing, right? It's the spirit that quickeneth. It's the spirit that makes you somebody, right? Not the flesh. But we're taught that it's the flesh as soon as you come out of the womb, as soon as you're born. It's you gotta get uh big stacks of money like this and put it to your ear and spread it out, spread it out upon the table so you can see all the notes, right? You gotta go to to these clubs and get all of the women, right? You have to be a player, right? And make sure you don't hate the player. You just hate the game if you don't like it. These are the types of things we're taught as soon as we come out of the womb. Go and make sure you're on the roads. Be a shutter. Yeah, you got movies called Shutters, paid in full, that people they just watch these things and they're naming themselves after these people, and then they're actually trying to be these people now. That's how we're snared in holes, right? Because these are traps. These are and that's why they call it a trap. That's why we end up going into prisons. That's what it goes on to say. Because when we snared into holes, it says they are all of them snared in holes, and they are hidden prison houses. So we're snared in holes, and we end up in prison. Right, like the brother was saying about how we got high levels of abortion in our communities. Right, that's being snared in holes. Literally, even before you're in the womb, you're snared in a hole. I mean, before you come out of the womb, you're snared in a hole. Right, that's the destination of an Israelite. Right, most likely, you're gonna end up on the roads, on the streets somehow. Right, women gonna end up, right, maybe just misusing their body, right, on for inconvenient circumstances. So that's how we're snared in holes. We got all of the media trying to show that our women not being righteous, just as we don't have good male examples and role models. They don't have good female role models and examples either in righteousness, or for family structures. Only the main female examples we see, they're not righteous. The main male examples we see are not righteous. As soon as we come out into this world, we see a lot of unrighteous ways of how we should live. And the other nations don't have that, man. There's no Indian Cardi B, and there's no Moroccan 50 Cent, man. Right? There's no Moroccan guy trying to get rich and die trying, and doing all of that crazy stuff, man. Right? Promoting all of the drugs that our people promote. Weed, selling hard drugs and stuff like that. These are the things that our people promote, are evil, and it's just pushed forth. That's how you're snared in a hole. Like, there's a lot of most other nations, they're fine, having children. They want to have happy families and stuff like that. But a lot of Israelites, they might say in the world, but they might say, you know, I don't want to have children because I'm worried about raising them up in this society because it's dangerous, right? People are scared to bring up Israelites. Oh,
Salakia. I think the brother connection issue maybe, right? But I'll even touch on that actually. Maybe the brother might join back. But I'll touch on that point that the brother kind of brought out, right? In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and I'll read verse 54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, right? So, because even at a point in time where we were, towards each other, right, brothers, we wouldn't, have this issue of not being able to go to a specific area. We could actually do that. But now you see within in and amongst our people, right, we're not able to I can't go to Johnson Street because, them guys live over there, right? It says his eyes shall be evil toward his brother. And you have that within our community now, where our eyes are actually evil toward our brother, right? And it reads, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, right? So that's even showing, emphasizing the point the brother was saying, right? Where you can see that in and amongst our community, chiefly, that's talking about us, right? We're the ones that have single parent households. You don't have the so-called Edomite man having and he's happy with that, right? And our people are happy with that as well, even if the Edomite does, because he's probably doing all kinds of folly, right? With what's that Edomite, Philip Schofield, right? Doing stuff like that. You have a happy family, then you kind of start doing a madness with another Edomite man, and then you say, okay, yeah, I just felt, nah, man, that's off, right? And then even the point you touched on about our women, right? Verse 56, right? It says the tender and delicate woman among you, because our women are tender and delicate. And obviously before this truth, we didn't have the understanding of dealing with our women accordingly, right? It says, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, right? Because that's what she should be, right? She should be in a righteous she should be a righteous woman with a righteous spirit, right? Actually following the words of the Bible, right? Her eye shall be evil towards her husband, towards the husband. Her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, right? And toward her son and toward her daughter, right? Because a lot of our women are looking up to the wrong people, man. Like people are looking up to your Cardi B's, your Beyonce's, right? I've seen a video of Cardi B. Everyone loves her songs, but there's a video of Offset's recording her and saying, "Oh, you kind of got to stop with the cap because she's cleaning around the household, but she's putting it out like, oh yeah, she's this bad bee, but she's really at home and she's you know what I'm saying. But hey, Cardi, you got it.
right. As I was saying before, um, our people are snared, right? Our people are snared. So Isaiah 42, verse 22 says, "But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in prison houses." Right? They are for a prey, and none delivereth. So we're a prey unto Satan and their society, because as soon as we're born, we're being told what to be. They're preying on our souls. They understand what keeps us in sin, and they're trying to kill us by killing us with sin, because the wages of sin is death. So we're a prey unto the predators of those who understand how to keep us down. It says, "And none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore." No one looks at us and the other nations aren't trying to get us reparations, right? They're not trying to push for that, right? They're trying to push for their own thing. They get their reparations, but for the things that have happened to us, the things that have been stolen from us, right? The murders that have happened to us, the atrocities, the genocides, plural, that have happened to us. We're not getting a recompense for that, right? So we need to understand that no one is delivering the children of Israel. It's really only the Most High. He's our Redeemer. We have to put our trust in Him. And if we don't put our trust in Him, we're going to, none of this is going to change, right? Go on.
And even to add on to that point, like you said, like these other nations are not going to redeem us, man. Like it says in the book, it's the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 10, right? And it reads, it says, "What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?" Right? And it says, "All her ornaments are taken away of a free woman. She's become a bond slave." So that's even showing, right, with our people, right? No one's helping us, man. But Yahweh Shem Shai. These nations don't care about you. People want to cleave onto, onto the so-called European man, to all these nations. I had a brother talking to him about it, telling him, hey, you're an Israelite. He's telling me, oh, what about the Africans? Because I kind of I said, okay, because they jump up and down and hold sticks. And he said, what about the Africans? Then I said that, and he's like, that I don't really like how that's sounding. Well, you got to deal with it, because all these nations have had a spoil, right, in our demise, right? Then you get another one as well, man. Because what nation hasn't? What nation hasn't, man? Right? It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12. Listen to this, man. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 17. I'll start at verse 15. It says, "For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit." Right? Because that's what the so-called European man does as well, man. Kind of go to all these so-called African countries to, hey, we want to cut a deal. We want to kind of help you guys, and then they when these countries say no, you kind of there's a coup d'etat, right? And the country's overthrown, right? And it says he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Because that's going back to Esau, man. That weeping spirit, that cowering spirit that these so-called Europeans have, man. And in verse 17, right, it says, "If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee." Right? Because really and truly, when all these things have happened to us, right, like to these Israelite countries, you'll see, there's always some sort of Edomite there, right? Like you'll see even like with like Haiti, or with like Ebola, or like Zika. Somehow Esau, right, the so-called European, he's involved. He says, "Oh, I know the solution." The same person that created the issue has a solution. Isn't that funny? Isn't that hilarious? Right? And people need to really get wake up and stop taking this the Bible as such a fairy tale, because it's speaking about people, man. It's speaking about the people that are walking the earth today. Let me get that as well, Bob Shaw, and then you got it, man. So book, I'm gonna go to First Peter. People say, oh, okay, when does the Bible have an ending? It was written for their time. I think someone said that I can't. The other day said, "Oh, it was written for their time." Madness, fam. Right? So madness, fam. What the hell? But let me get that in the book of First Peter, chapter 1 and verse 25. "But the word of the Lord endureth forever, and this is the word which by the gospels is preached unto you." So you have these, you have these pastors, you have these Jakes, these Israelites that will tell you, "Oh no, that was just for their time." The homosexuality thing, that was just their time. The eating pork thing, that was for their time. But now it's a different time. But Malachi 3 and 6, where does it say that the Most High changes, man? This is not the Quran, right? This is the Bible, right? Purified 7 times, right? But Khan, you got it.
as you were saying, the scriptures is real, um, and and like we were saying, there's a spirit to it, and we have to understand, right? The scriptures outline when you get into it, and like the brother was saying, it's the honor of kings to search out a matter, right? Because that honor will come when you're really searching things out, right? The Lord is gonna, right, give you the understanding. Um, so I'm gonna go to the book of Psalms 107, starting at verse 10. It says, "Such as sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, being bound in affliction and iron." And that's the Israelites, right? The Israelites who've been sitting in darkness and in the shadow of death, right? Because we don't have the light, we don't have the laws. It says being bound in affliction and iron, and we know who that is. We know that's the children of Israel. We know that's so-called black people, man. In slavery, in darkness, in the shadow of death, bound, right? In bondage, in chains and shackles, right? Around their, yokes on their necks, yokes of iron, right? All these things, right? They're outlined in the scriptures, and we see it in history. You can go to the museums and see these things. Verse 11, right? It's going to let you know why these things happen. It says, because they rebelled against the words of God and contemned the counsel of the Most High. So because of our rebellion, we have ended up in bondage. Yeah, we ended up in slavery. So this is, you know, I don't know. Don't ask me why they're not bringing that out in church. Don't ask me. You have to ask. You're gonna have to ask your pastor why he's not doing it, right? Why he's not breaking that down for you? Why he's not saying? Why he's not showing you that because the Israelites rebelled, they would they would go into slavery because they went against the commandments. He's gonna have to then show you that, you know what, it's actually the commandments and breaking them that causes, that caused us to go into slavery. So now the solution is to come back to keep these commandments. It says they contemn the counsel of the Most High. That's how we ended up in this position. Right? We contemn the Most High's counsel. Right? It says, therefore he brought down their heart with labor. They fell down, and there was none to help. Like we were saying, there's no one that's trying to restore us, to deliver us. There was none to help. It says, then they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them out of their distresses. So now is the time for the children of Israel in the land of their captivity, which is us, to cry unto the Most High, so that he can save us out of these distresses. And with distress, our people are afflicted, with drugs. They got deep-rooted family issues, right? We got so many financial troubles, right? We're distressed in this land. So it's time for us to cry unto the Lord, because this, we're the Lord's portion. So as the Lord's portion, we have an inheritance, right? The Lord doesn't want, the Lord hasn't promised this for us for the rest of our lives. He's given us greater promises. This is us forsaking the promise and not valuing the promise. And we have to take hold of the promise that the Most High has granted us, so that we can walk according to his mercies and his righteousness. All right, go on.
All right, Khan. I mean, you got any more you want to touch on? Or
No, that's it, right?
Khan. All right. Well, Lord willing, Most High willing, that was edifying. I'm sure we'll probably do another one and kind of go into the history, because I think that's the neck choppers really, man. Because we obviously we got the Bible, all praises, but we can show that in history too. like to do with the so. A brother was kind of saying in the chat, talking about Yoruba and Igbo languages are Proto-Hebraic languages, man. That's him saying that. We ain't got to say that. So the people that know what's going on, like I brought out, earlier with Proverbs 1 and verse 22, people hate knowledge, but some people actually have the understanding that, hey, that the Bible's talking about them, and all praises that the Israelites are being woken up in these last days, right? But you can't end it, fam. But
Can't, yeah, man. Most I wouldn't. That was, something we can reflect upon, right? For those that already know, right, to just go back into the milk, right, which is always good. And for those that don't know, right, this is why we have the stance that we do. And like the brother was saying, we have more we can show you that's more secular, external to the scriptures. But just this is just so plain about how the scriptures will show um, that we are the children of Israel, right? You got any research you want to close out on?
oh yeah, can definitely, fam. Got read the classic. Everyone loves to say the classic, fam. Read the classic, John 8 and verse number 32, right? It says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free," right? Because this is the truth, man. The truth is going to be the thing that's going to set you free from the perils of this world, right? From following, just each and everything, man, right? Okay. You got any more you want to bring up?
Um, um, I'm gonna go to that classic.
Yeah.
um, Second Timothy chapter 2 verse 15. Study to show thyself approved
Mm-hmm.
unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So that's what it's all about, right, Israel? It's all about dividing this word rightly in righteousness. And as we do that, as we see our forefathers, they have inspiration from the scriptures, and we want to take the inspiration from the scriptures in knowing that we are the children of Israel, right? So, you got anything else?
Um, let me see, fam. Calm. I got this last one as well. This book of Jeremiah, chapter 23 and verse 16. It says, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of the Lord. They say unto you, Salakia, they say still unto you, Salakia, they say still unto them that despise me, the Lord hath said, ye shall have peace. And they say unto every one that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you." Right? So, even verse 18, "For who have stood in the counsel of the Lord and have perceived and heard his word? Who have marked his word and heard it?" Right? Because a lot of the time we got a lot of these, pastors, man, they're saying just jibber jabber, man. Just telling you, hey, just love your neighbor. And that's it. He said you have people say the two the law hangs on these two. They just say love your neighbor. Just come that prosperity gospel, and that's about it. But what we're reading out the words of God, right? We're reading out the word, right? Showing you that, when we didn't even go into all the curses, man. We didn't even go into that to really just hit home, to emphasize that this is a bit. But a lot of these, so-called pastors, they're not teaching your people the truth, you Israelites the truth. And that's what we got to really start opening up our ears to. We got to make ourselves simple to really understand this word, right? We got to be as babes and relearn these scriptures, man, because this is the truth. This is our heritage, man. But can't.
Praise to the Most High. So with that, we're gonna close out. Yeah, Lord willing, that was edifying for brothers and sisters. So his brother Zachariah. All right, shalom.
Okay. Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.